Hi, this is Shayna Inama, and this is my Summative blog reflection on my organizational behavior class. Over the 8 weeks, I've learned a lot, and I felt like this class was the class I needed most out of the program. In week one, coming into the class, I just thought that organizational behavior was quote unquote the HR side of management, but Dr. Edelson's statement in class made me realize that it's much more than that. It's really about understanding the roles and behaviors and skills that you need in order to become an effective manager. But it's also about understanding the why behind why people maybe act a certain way they do and how those actions can have an effect on the organization. So, having this realization alone, I feel already more prepared to step into a management position. In week two, we had to take the Big Five personality test. And I was actually surprised to learn that my openness to experience and intellect score was so low after getting my results. However, throughout the discussions in week two, I understood that if I can understand my emotions as a manager and my employees' emotions as a manager, I should be able to work effectively with all employees and get out the most production from each employee. I felt, and the rest of my group members felt this was an important point, so I will talk about this a little later when I get into the group teaching topic. In week three, we talked about motivation. Here I understood that positive and negative reinforcement were the way to go if you wanted to reinforce behaviors that you want repeated from employees. So positive reinforcement would be rewarding an employee, and negative reinforcement would be removing a negative from a situation. I also learned that punishment and extinction theories only promote behaviors that you don't want repeated, and they don't promote behaviors that you do want repeated. Although, as a manager, I would have to complete the positive and or negative reinforcement right away so that associates would know or be able to link that to the behavior that I would like to see repeated. And then in week four, we discussed different types of communication. And within this communication, we touched on the grapevine. Every organization has a grapevine and people that contribute to it. Here we learned that a lot of information comes from the grapevine, and sometimes the information is considered more valuable than from when it comes from, say, a certified memo from management. It's very important. Here we learn it's very important to manage the grapevine. And the first step as a manager in order to do that is understanding what information is going through the grapevine, and then understanding who those key, personnel are that are spreading the information. Once you're able to understand the information that's running through the grapevine and who those people are that are, key in spreading the information, you can give information to those people that you want people to know. So if the information going through the grapevine is incorrect or wrong, you can give them the correct information. That way, employees who are listening through the grapevine will be receiving the correct information. In week five, it just reiterated the need and importance of managing meetings. Based on the discussions and the questions that were submitted by most people during class, it seemed like meetings just had a negative connotation in all of our organizations. But as a manager, we learned that there are things that I could do in order to make sure I'm holding effective meetings. Those include first of all, ensuring that the meeting is even needed. If I felt that a memo or an email could get my message or point across, then I should by all means send the memo or email and not waste people's time for an hour in a meeting room. Next would be to make sure that I have all of the right people in attendance. If I have all the right people in attendance, that just ensures that we're touching on all points and we're making sure that, what needs to get done is getting done. Also, having an agenda is important as well. And I should, as a manager, post that agenda prior to the meeting so that individuals who are involved in the meeting understand what's going to be discussed and can come to the meeting ready with ideas or proposals rather than having to work through those during the meeting. This will allow for a more efficient and productive meeting. And also establishing ground rules within the meeting. So a lot of times people are either on their computers or on their cell phones, but if you establish, at the beginning of the meeting, hey, everybody should be off their computers, be off their phones. That way we can, get this hashed out and get it done. That just, again, ensures a more productive and efficient meeting. Week 6 and 7, we discuss groups and teams. And here I was able to understand that as a manager, there are several things that I need to pay attention to when I'm putting a group together. One would be the type of group that's being formed. Is it a formal or informal group, or is it a temporary or permanent group? Those are things that I need to know. How many people should be in this group? Should it be, 3, 10? But I learned that typically for a group, around 6 or 7 people is probably ideal. And that just ensures that, there's enough ideas running through the group. Conflict is a good thing as well, which I learned because that just ensures that people are thinking analytically and they're going to propose the best solution possible for the group. We also discussed the difference between groups and teams. Now, a lot of times we learn people will use groups and teams, those words interchangeably, but we learned that's not correct. The difference is that teams have various levels of accountability. So they have shared accountability and they have individual accountability. And then second, teams typically also have shared leadership. In groups, there's usually one designated leader, but in teams, you have designated leaders, but there's also other members who can step up in leadership roles depending on the situation. So at times, members in the team can step up as leaders when they're not technically the designated leader. And teams also have interdependence. Groups are more of when, say, a group member doesn't complete their task. That just means that the group wouldn't meet its goal. But in a team, because they're interdependent on each other, if one team member didn't complete their task, then the other team member wouldn't be able to complete their task at all. And that's the main difference between groups and teams. And that was a key point because a lot of times I would use groups and teams, the words interchangeably, and now I understand the difference. And then in week 8, we had our group teaching topic discussions. My group chose emotions in the workplace, and we chose to focus on the negative effect that negative emotions can have on the leadership and subordinate relationship. As I discussed earlier, we thought, emotions in the workplace was a key point because at any time in the management relationship with your employees, you can affect that relationship positive or negative depending on the emotions that you portray or how your employees perceive your emotions. So just really touching on that point was really key for us, and it really made sure that we understood, emotional intelligence, make sure we're aware of how our emotions affect others and how others might perceive it. And then the other groups, a lot of them talked about work-life balance, so trying to balance everything. And the other ones were about motivation and then the the generational differences within the workplace, which I see a lot of at Goodyear. So that was good just to reiterate those thoughts as well. But overall, I feel like I've learned a lot from this class. as you can see in the last 10 minutes. But I definitely feel like I'm more prepared to step into a management role after this, after what I learned here. So thanks, and good luck to you.